Hi guys, it's Clarice, and today we're going to do a tutorial on using the Radiant Concentrated Watercolors by Dr. P.H. Martins to achieve some cute, colorful, loose florals, kind of like this. These are my practice sheets that I've been doing for the past few weeks. If you're following me on Instagram at Hello Clarice G, you would have probably seen me do some of these on IGTV, posting in my stories, and they're actually quite fun and cute and yeah, just fun to do. So I'm going to do a couple of these. Well, I'm going to do a version of these in my tutorial today. So I hope you're ready for my colors. Obviously, I'm using my Radiant line by Dr. P.H. Martins. It's called the Radiant Concentrated Watercolor. Yeah. So I have a cherry red, violet, turquoise, and lemon. So I'll be using these dominantly, but I'll also be using some of my regular colors by, you'll see me using these little pans, and that's by St. Petersburg White Knights. All right, so for my brushes, I'm using my Squirrel Mop brush in the 1, Silver Black Velvet in the 4, Silver Black Velvet in the 8, and then also my tried and true, actually these are all my tried and true, but Princeton Neptune number 8. So let's get started. So for these, I'm going to reintroduce the poppies in this tutorial, and I'm going to take a slightly different route when it comes to doing them compared to the first Radiant Concentrated Watercolor tutorial I did. This time when we're laying down the color, or when we're laying down the first wash of water, I'm going to put in a tint of whatever color the floral is actually originally, or the base coat of it. So I want that nice little light hue, and then we're going to go in for some darker hues. Okay, I have a bit of a cold, so excuse me. Okay, so let's just get started. So I'm going to be using my Squirrel Mop brush to get in the color or the base coat of water, and then we will progress from there. So I have my palette here. I'll be using this to mix colors from the Radiant line. Okay, so let's get started. So first things first, I'm going to mix some of the yellow with the cherry red. And I've pretty much done that over here to the side, so you can sort of do that now or do it later. Before we get into that, I'm going to get some of the pre-mixed orangey kind of color that I have here, and I'm going to use this as my base. So I'm getting a bit of it onto my mop brush, and let's get started. So I'll do about 2 or 3 poppies. And let's do the first one over here. And I'm just going to get it, I'm getting the water on here in a circular format and just pushing the color around to kind of have it go all over and leaving a bit of the center. So it's almost like you're creating a donut, and I'm also leaving some white space in it. In the petals, I mean, not just obviously in the center. We need that round shape for the black, which we will put on later. But for now, we'll just do this. And then I'm also going to add another one here and have it touch. Possibly make this one slightly bigger. And then using my paper towel, I'm just going to dab any excess water there is, which there actually is quite a bit, but I don't want to take off completely everything. But at the same time, I don't want it over flooding or puddling on my sheet. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is using my Princeton Neptune. I'm going to get some of the color. I have some yellow on here, so I'm going to take that and mix it with the red that I have to get a nice warm red. And once I have that, I'm just going to go to the center and dab it in and watch it spread out. Same thing on this one here. Just gonna dab it in as much as I can. I'm gonna keep going back and dabbing it in hopes that it'll spread out some more and give me a nice dark center, like a dark to light kind of look. So again, doing that. And keep doing it. And then if you need to kind of swish it around to help it move, you can absolutely do that as well. It might give you some interesting results. And then I'm going to leave that as is. I'm just going to take some more of the red this time and kind of go in and just try and, like, I'm experimenting here, trying to see if I can get some nice different hues of red mixed with the orange. So maybe this will turn out to be like some really abstract looking poppy, in which case that's okay because these are loose florals and we just want a pop of color and kind of get acquainted to using these nice fun colors that we have available to us. So I'm just adding some to the edge as well and moving the color around. And then again, I'm going to try and help it move around. All right, now once I have this, I'm going to do the third one that I said I was going to do. And I will add that on over here. Yes, let's do one here. And I'm going to touch both of them for this one, so I can draw some color from them into the center of this. I'm just sweeping off some of the excess water so that the flow will be nicer. And now once I have done that, we'll finalize with the same like we did previously. And I'm just adding that to the center. And I'm going to add some more. And then possibly help it again to kind of float around and spread around. All right, and finally, I'm going to try one thing here. I'm going to go ahead and add the color right center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm just kind of adding it just to the center to see what kind of a pull or push of color blend that I get. And again, the beauty about these colors are you can kind of try to achieve a certain look, and you might or might not get it depending on the intensity of water and the amount of color that you're using. So I kind of like what's happening here. It's not your typical poppies, which is completely red, but I do love the intensity of the colors and the mix. So I'm going to go on and continue. And for the next florals, we're going to do some that look a little more like your 5-shaped florals. And here's what we're doing for that. All right, so we're on to the next florals, and we're going to do these 5-petal florals. And so again, for this, the first thing I will do is I'll add some base colors. So for this, I'm going to keep the base of most of them. I'm going to keep them like a chrome, almost like a chrome yellowy kind of color. So I'm using my cadmium yellow from St. Petersburg, White Nights, and I'm going to mix some of this brownie beige, which I believe is yellow ochre. And I'm just going to get a nice warm color for my base, and then we'll start. So this way you can even see the kind of florals I'm creating. So I'm just going to create something, like I said, with the 5 petals. So here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, and I want to touch this flower right here for 3. Okay, now I'm getting some water, and I'm gonna get 4, and then I'll just do 5 here. And again, we're touching this floral to the side. I'm just giving it a little bit, I'm trying to beef it up a little bit. Perfect. So again, these are loose florals, so if they look slightly off or whatever, don't sweat the small stuff. It's all good. For these ones, I'm going to add in a touch of purple. And I already have some purple on here, so I'm just going to take some from there, and I'm going to add it in the center. And I'm just going to have it swish around. And I don't want to take it down because I would prefer to not have the purple mix in with the red poppies. I just want to keep it at the top. So I'm just going to leave these at the top. So that's why I'm kind of moving them around just to kind of touch the top floral. And what you can also do is get your number 4 and just kind of move color around if you want it to sort of blend in a tad bit better. We're cheating at this point, right? It's all good though. All right, so I'm going to create a couple more, but this time I'm going to use my number 4 and create a couple more at the top here. And again, these are very simple florals. So literally, if you're doing a couple of petals and you're just pulling from the color that you have here without taking any additional water, and it works. So this way you have a variant of different shades of purple, and you want to keep it nice and flowy and what's the word I'm looking for? Loose. So it doesn't look like you're giving too much detail. So that's my take on this. I'm just doing a couple more here. And then I'll just do some peeking out from here. Just off to the edge. All right, now once I've done that, I'm just going to let that dry for a bit. But you can also take some of the red and add it just at the edges if you want to give it an additional kind of difference so it doesn't look like a blob of purple. You can absolutely do that. And then we'll do a couple over here as well, and we can then kind of tie that in with some other florals. So I'm adding a couple here, but these I'm going to be, again, very loose like how those are. And I'm just creating some petals that are attached to this poppy over here. So it just looks like it's kind of peeking out. And then once I have that, just going to take some of my purple and add it on the tips to kind of flow down. But I don't want it, oops, I don't want it to go too much into the actual poppy itself. So here's my cheat process to avoid that. I'm just taking my paper towel and I'm going to dampen that area where it is damp so it doesn't kind of flow in. All right, and now once that's done, we're just going to make sure that these are nice and loose as opposed to so rigid. And then I'm going to add my few little dots here and there. All right, so same thing here. So they can almost act as if they are buds from the actual flower itself, or just, you know, or splatter of color maybe. I'm just adding a couple here and there. All right, so there we go. So now we have this abstract looking set of florals here, and then we'll do a couple of ones that are like yellow in color, just the base color that we've been using. So I'm going to mix some of this medium yellow with the ochre on the side to get that. And once I have that color, I am going to start off by just doing a couple of strokes. And they could maybe potentially be like the daisies. So I'll just do something like this. And I'm going to do 3 of the petals. And then once I have that, I'm taking my number 8, making sure I don't have too much water on it. I'm going to create another petal to fill it up to make it 5. And then I'm just kind of filling in some water in the ones that are super dark, the initial ones that we laid down. And there we have our light little flower. So we'll do a couple of these. Again, my technique is using the yellow first. I'm going to create 3 of the petals, and then using a brush with just water, minimal water in it, I'm creating the petals that fill in, and then kind of additionally pushing the color around in the more opaque petals, with leaving a tad bit of white space at the same time. Okay, same thing here. I'm going to do some over here. So these can look like they're overlapping, but they're all kind of touching the first floral that I put down. And then finally we'll just fade off into ones that are like super light here. So just a hint, like a tad hint of it. And so there we go. We have our cute little yellow petals. Yeah, I won't add any more to this, but I will add a center to it. So I'm going back into my ochre, and I'm just gonna get a little bit of the ochre into the center of the 2 main florals, where we can see there's a center. Actually, there's a third one too, because the center is right here. And I'm just going to intensify the center here, just so it's very apparent that is the center. All right, now once this is done, we can now add a couple of green and greenery, a couple of greenery items or foliage items. For this, I am going to be using the green from St. Petersburg, and I will also be using the ochre, and you'll see how. And I will also use the black. Where's the black? Here we go. So I'm going to be mixing a couple of them, and you'll see that happening on my palette here. So yeah, let's get started. So first things first, I want some nice dark green happening. So I'm getting my green and I'm gonna put it onto my palette over here. I love this rich green, it's so nice. All right, next thing is I'm getting some black and I'm gonna mix that onto the side here. So we have a nice green and then we have a dark, dark, dark green. All right, now once I have that happening, I am also going to get some of my ochre on here. So I'm getting the color, it's off to the side here. And I'm just going to mix that off at the top. Hopefully it doesn't seep into the yellow and whatnot. But I wanted to touch some of the green. So now I have 3 different shades of green. Okay, I can even maybe add it here if it's not mixing well there. Yeah, so I want to start off with using a light green, so like the ochre mixed with green green. And I'm going to do a couple of leaves that kind of look like so. So I'm going to do a stem first. And then I'm going to just kind of drag and go down to the stem. Same thing here. Always pulling the color down to the stem. And then doing a third one right there. Again, pulling the color all the way down to the stem. Alright, so it's quite light. I'm going to take some of the dark green, add it down here. Have it flow nicely. And then if you feel like it's too much water, you can just kind of take a paper towel and dab. And then using the same brush, I'm washing off most of the green, and I'm just going to extend a line coming from the green out and create another leaf. And so it's we're going to have 3 different layers, I guess you could say. So these are the super light leaves that I'm doing first. And then we're going to have the darker ones appear. So just doing a couple of these to kind of start off with. And then we'll do some here. And I'm just adding the darker green to the stem in hopes that it'll kind of spread nicely. And there we go. Then just using water, I'm going to just add another leaf because I want to have a variation of different leaves happening, or colors, shapes and stuff. So just leaving it very loose. And then let's just do it on one more area. And again, I'm going to take some of the darker green. I'm going to add it in the stem and have it kind of move around a bit. There we go. Just cleaning this one up, pushing the color down. So you can do all these things if you've messed up a little bit or you don't want it to be a certain way. But I just wanted to add some green on there, so this is my base green. And then now we kind of go on into the darker greens. So for this next one, I am going to use the number 8 Princeton that I have, and I am going to get a good amount of the green, some of the black, mix it in nicely, and I'm going to create some nice flowy leaves around here. Now this is still damp, so we need to be extra diligent about it. And I also want to have that effect of like dry against the wet. So I'm getting a lot of color here, and I'm just going very simply with my brush strokes and just adding a couple here and there. And at this point, I'm gonna even add in some of this color, the ochre, and just adding a couple of leaves that kind of touch the green, so that they can either seep into the green or pull from the green. Okay, and then same thing. I'm going to do the same thing over here on this end. In fact, what I should have done here was add a tip of green. I'll do it in the next one, you'll see. So I'm going to do another one here. I'm going to overlap it on this one here, the leaves that we did, pressing down and then going backward. Same thing here. See, so it's like that nice dark green. And then this is what I used for the ochre. So I'm going to get some of the green onto it and add some on here. And it gives you a nice overlap of color. And then we'll just kind of trail off into like smaller ones. We're just keeping it very like loose and light with the strokes, I mean, not with the actual leaves. Obviously the leaves are a lot darker. And then same thing we do as we go around and add them as and where we kind of feel that they're needed. So I'm going to add some over here. I'm going to use this to add a leaf here on this side. I'm going to add a stem at the top more, extending it and adding a couple of loose strokes. And you're always kind of pushing the color down to the stem. So making it darker where the stem is. So it adds a little bit of extra niceness to it. All right, then same thing here. And pushing down to get that nice color of green on there. I'm going to get a lot of ochre, some of the green, and I'm going to do this one here. So it's a slightly lighter version of this first leaf. And then I'm going to get more stem happening and create another one right there. And I'm just kind of giving the leaves some border almost to kind of give it more definition, you can say. Just the ones that are a little more closer, I guess. And then a couple here. And I actually kind of like how that looks. So you know what? I'm going to do an extension and add a couple that just look like they're just outlines. And same thing here. So just kind of sporadically adding a couple of leaves. And then you could even add some over here. So literally at this point, you're kind of just making this your own by using your judgment and deciding where you want to add leaves. So now I've switched to like the ochre and I've mixed it with some of the green, and it's giving me a lighter green happening. So I can kind of create my own I guess set of foliage for these purple florals. So I'll carry on that same trend over here. And just giving it some flow. And again, pushing down the main color to the base. So I'm getting some of the dark green. I'm just going to add it here. Add some there. Just add some at the top here too. There we go. And see how it just kind of opens up the whole painting to like a next level. When you give it so much, you add so much depth to it by giving it different variants of colors and I guess even intensities in your colors. So pretty, right? So, okay, so we'll end off with me adding the black to the centers, and then this will tie in quite nicely. So I'm going to use my number 4 for that, and I have my black little cake. So I'm just going to get the color directly from it. And now everything's fairly dried up, so I'm going to add my black centers for my poppies. And I'm just, let me sit down for this. I'm just going to add a couple of lines. If you have a brush that's thinner than a 4, use that. I do have one that's thinner than a 4, but I am insisting on using my 4 for this, so we all have preferences, right? I'm going to use some of the green mixed in with the black because I kind of like that dark. So again, just adding a couple of lines all around, leaving my white center. Gives you that nice, almost kind of looks like red or pink kiwi slices, doesn't it? But I love how it's turned out, mainly because it looks like an abstract piece, but it's loose and the colors are nice and bright, and it's just super pretty to look at. So yeah, so this is the full tutorial on how to create additional florals using the Radiant Concentrated Watercolor. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll definitely add a couple of additional things to this to kind of enhance it. Like I could add some greenery there and whatnot, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea of how you can make it fun and loose and abstract, but kind of still pretty, I guess. Yeah, and colorful. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I want to direct you guys to my new website, which is helloclarice.ca. Let me know what you guys think of it. I have a couple of products on there too available if you're interested in purchasing any digital prints. And please do follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I love hearing from you guys. And any questions you have, please feel free to share there. And if you're interested in getting your own website, please do consider checking out my post on Instagram as to how you can kind of get your own website and showcase your beautiful pieces of art. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll chat soon. Bye.